found every way possible to win, and tonight was a different way. And so I think the way they play and the heart that they show is immeasurable. And I keep telling them they're transformational leaders in the way they go about it and what they've done for the sport, especially in Kentucky, but not only there, around the country. So proud of them, but the job isn't finished.
I just think we came out a little timid and not knowing what to do in the first set, and slowly found our rhythm in the second and third. But by the fourth and fifth, we found that rhythm, and I don't know, I was just swinging away, knowing my people behind me were covering.
No Filter Radio with Alan Cutler, brought to you by Quantrell Auto Group. QuantrellForLife.com.
Good afternoon. I'm Alan Cutler. I guess a horse Alan Cutler. I've been fighting this garbage for days, and I think I'm going to have to start my second round of antibiotics, so I apologize for my throat early on. Don't feel bad. I look bad, but don't feel bad. So if you can bear with me, I appreciate it. I got to tell you, watching that volleyball game last night, I can't be the only one that was concerned about Kentucky losing after they lost the first game. Wow. I mean, that was amazing. Wisconsin was so good. And it's interesting to hear the word that Kentucky thought that they were timid. Interesting. And one of the sound bites we're probably going to play was talking about how Skinner told the team, well, congratulations. You can't play any worse than you played. Well, let's do a better job. I have said this before, and every time we have one of the volleyball players on live or, using some tape, they are spectacular with their mindset of how to live their life and how to play sports and how to stay in the moment and how to stay positive and the absolutely pure value of the word TEAM. They're unbelievable. They are really unbelievable. I don't know, and I've thought about this a lot, and I want to be careful before doing an absolute, but I have never been around, and not like I'm around them, but I'm talking about following, because I follow them now. I don't follow them like I do basketball when I did TV, and we did all kinds of traveling at times and stuff like that. But I was comparing these kids to the championship basketball teams that I was around. And those guys had really good attitudes too. But the ego-less combined group effort is off the charts. These young ladies, so many of them would be really good to speak to companies about how they did it. And if they win the national championship, which I hope and you hope, I think it's 3:30 on Sunday against Texas A&M, who they've already beaten, and I don't know if that means much at this point. You're playing for the national championship. I want to tell you, these young ladies should be asked to speak in front of schools. These young ladies should be asked to speak in front of corporations because corporations like people to talk about the TEAM. They're a shining example. I'm just throwing it out there for companies. And there's so many of these young ladies who would be so good. And Jimmy, everyone that we've had on the air has been absolutely spectacular. I mean, spectacular. It's like, it's almost too good to be true. And I'm past the point, because so often we all do this. When you say it's too good to be true, it's often too good to be true. In this case, it's not too good to be true. Jimmy, can you remember in all your years on this planet, 30-something years, you youngster, can you remember listening to sound bites from athletes as a collective group that's as good as these young ladies? Ever, 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 ever?
No. And it's, like you said, it's not just one who's, say, the senior, like the vocal leader of the team. It's everybody that you hear talk about it. And I've heard this before, but I just looked it up. 68% of the top CEOs across the country played college sports. And I don't think that's a coincidence. Like you said, why companies want to bring in college athletes, male, female, doesn't matter what sport. But I think there's a reason for it. Is because, like you said, the TEAM, when you're a company, you're a team, and you have leaders at the top that look at it from a sports mindset. I mean, perfect example is this volleyball team.
I knew that number was high, and I saw a stat years ago. So what you're looking at is obviously more up to date. That's incredibly high.
Yeah, it is.
I'm pausing on you because I was recalling something in the 80s when I saw something. It was like I think it was 40-something%, which at the time I thought was very high. It's kind of like an AP story, if I recall. That's just goofy. But if you want to run a company, you have to understand the value of TEAM. Aaron Gershon at 12:30, Jonathan Davis at once. Adam Zagoria, who's done the show a couple of times. He's a buddy of mine from New York. And we will play some Patino sound today. And he was asking some questions. He covers Patino. He knows Patino. He knows New York sports. And it's interesting from his website how often, not a ton, but how often he's writing something that pertains to Kentucky because of a tie that relates to him with recruiting and stuff like that. And Zags is a really good dude, so he will also join us today and talk about Patino. I'm excited about the game. I'm super, super excited about the game. I can't wait to watch it, but I don't want to digress into that. I want to continue talking about volleyball for a little while. Let's go to clip number 3. Talking about the grit. This team has a ton of grit. It's not a word you hear a lot. I've heard it before, but it's not something that's used a lot. Maybe I need to use it more. Clip number 3, the great Brooklyn delay on the word grit and this team.
You know, I think just the grit piece has just been there all along. I think that just comes from practice every day. We're just wanting to get better, and I think we've just done a good job and not forgetting why or how we got here. So I think that just really pulled through, and then just talking about the freshmen, like it's the biggest stage in college sports. So, I mean, we knew the nerves would be there. Like none of us have ever been there. So I'm just super proud of the way that they came out because, I mean, as freshmen coming into that, like we've all had the experience. Obviously not here, but just in other ways. So, I mean, they've had it all along, and they just kind of need that spark.
You know, one of the things that one of the players said last night is that Skinner, when they just do their practicing, says serve like you're serving for the championship. And, you know, it was kind of interesting. The press conference was about 20 minutes last night, and I looked at the whole thing this morning. When I went to sleep, it still wasn't out there, and I was sending stuff to Jimmy. I think it was about 1:30 in the morning on Patino. And at a certain point, I'm going, I got to get some sleep. But their relationship with Skinner, and they're walking off. So Skinner, this is pretty common with the NCAA. Skinner does an opening comment, and then they ask questions to the players for a certain amount of time, and then they leave, and then Skinner finishes the press conference. But it was interesting how all three of them reacted to Skinner as they walked by him. Like, you know, go get him, coach, or good job, coach, or whatever the heck it was. But it was cute, and it was nice. And he was kind of like shaking his head. It really, in a little way, speaks volumes about the relationship that Skinner has with the players and what they think of him. He's really calm, you know, and the fact that he and the Wisconsin coach go back like 35 years. I mean, that's just absolutely, absolutely nuts. Let's go to clip 4. And it's an obvious thing in the theme that we're talking about now, but how Brooklyn DeLay, a great, great, great player, cares about the team. Yes, herself, but cares about the team. This is a beautiful soundbite talking about how it's a team sport.
It's truly a team sport. So like whether I wasn't doing my best, I knew everybody else would have my back. And I just was trying to do everything that I could to contribute to the team the entire match. Like whether that was just being positive the whole time, no matter how I was doing, because I mean, if I was dwelling in my performance, I wouldn't have been able to be there for my teammates. And I think as a team, just the blocking, I mean, it takes a while to figure out those hitters. Like you're in a Final Four match, like props to Wisconsin. They had every hitter coming at us the entire match. Like they did not let down. So I'm just super proud of the way that we just kept adjusting to their style of play. I mean, it's really hard. Wisconsin's a great team. So, I mean, it was just battling both sides. So
Battling both sides. Absolutely. Absolutely. Tuzzo is great. She's all over the place. And this is clip number 5 talking about one of the beautiful words that is permeating this team, the attitude.
We have a saying called UFO. It's kind of just like the point happens, forget about it, next ball. And that's the great thing about volleyball. There's 25 points in a set, so I think they're an amazing team. Props to them, and they made some plays, and we just have to move on.
Yeah, forget about it. If you can, as an athlete or a person in business, anything you do, something happens, put it behind you. Live in the moment. a huge part of meditation. Live in this moment, because the past, if you spend your time reliving it, you're missing the moment. It's pretty simple. So they had this thing, and I didn't know about this till last night, that they put smiley faces on things all the time, Jimmy, and stuff like that, and they kind of communicate with their own smiley face to each other. I don't know if you knew that. I did not know that, and I thought it was really cool. And this was Brooklyn responding to the question about their smiley faces.
For me, I was just looking around, taking the atmosphere in. I mean, like I said earlier, like I've never been here. None of us have been here. So I think all of us, we were just trying to soak in every bit of it and just kind of remember how we got here. The little girl that once believed that they could be on the stage, I mean, we were kind of doing it for that person. So, I mean, just like taking that in and just playing for those that came to support us tonight.
Yeah, and something we do in between sets too is kind of look at one another in the eyes, which kind of seems like a dumb thing, but you don't really do that too often when it's such a fast-paced game. So taking the time to like say "I got you" to each and every teammate really kind of brings that unity back into the team aspect.
I got to tell you, Jimmy, I finally disagree with one of the volleyball players. That's not a dumb thing. It's absolutely brilliant. And she was being, and I've done the same thing, so I'm guilty as charged. When you really like something and you're really proud of something that you do, you will often downplay it because you don't want to be lecturing or talking down to somebody. Jimmy, you're nodding your head yes.
Yeah.
And I would only wish she would never say a dumb thing, especially when she talks to little kids, boys and girls. It's a brilliant thing she said. It's not a smart thing. It's absolutely brilliant. And I'm going, whew. These young ladies are so smart. It's unbelievable. Now, here's Brooklyn. Now, I believe there's no one on the team who grew up as close as she did to where they're playing in Kansas City. I'm like 99% sure. She's from Topeka. And so, I don't know how many, but I'm sure she's got tons of fans there. Family, friends, wouldn't be surprised. High school coaches, all kinds of stuff. So she's got her own crowd there, which is what you would expect. And she comments, clip number 7, about that.
I mean, it's nothing like it. Like, I've had everybody texting me throughout the time, so I just have felt so loved over this week, and it's just so cool that I get to represent just a place like Topeka. I mean, I would not be anywhere the person I am today without each and every one of those people. So, I mean, I'm just out here having fun with my teammates, and I'm just glad that I get to do it at almost my home state. I mean, I know we're in Kansas City, Missouri, but who even looks at that?
Sure.
You got to be really comfortable in your own skin to say that, don't you?
As it came out, she's probably like, well, it didn't really, everyone knows what I'm talking about. You guys get it.
And I'm sorry, there's got to be some idiot who might want to rip her for that. But if you're going to rip her for that, you got to have some sense of humor. And these young ladies are about perfect. So, I mean, come on. Texas A&M and Kentucky, you have 2 Southeastern Conference teams playing for the national championship. More, and now the last couple of bites are from Skinner. Skinner talking about volleyball and what a tough thing it is to do it big time in the right way.
It's one of the most difficult things to do in sports is play one point at a time. I mean, there's just no other way to be elite if you're trying to play 2 or 3 points at a time. And the focus and the intentionality of our players in each of those points was really impressive. And, because, if you start thinking about the moment, you start thinking about the crowd, you start thinking about the score and what could happen if you don't do something, then you won't execute. And our team has done an incredible job this year of not letting the score dictate their effort, their focus, and, willingness to just give it to their team.
I thought it was interesting. The Wisconsin coach said late, hey, if we just get 2 points to every one, we can come back and win it. And I wonder if that philosophy is that much different than Skinner's, and I think it is. Instead of saying, okay, well, we got 2, okay, we'd like to get another one, but if we keep on going 2-1. And I think it puts things in their head where I think, and I'm not ripping the Wisconsin coach, what they've done is unbelievable. But I think Skinner's thing is just perfect in sports. It's the next pitch. In sports, it's the next out. In sports, it's the next whatever thing. And whenever it is, It is the next thing. And Jimmy, I mean, Skinner should be talking to coaches all across the country with his philosophy. Not that he's the only one, but it's working. And his kids, I say kids, please, it's no disrespect. Their kids are listening and they have bought in 1,000%. And so whatever the secret sauce is, Skinner's got the secret sauce, Jimmy.
Yeah, and I was just after watching some of the match last night. Volleyball is one of those sports where no other of at least the big sports, the football, baseball, basketball, you can't get blown out in the first half in any of those sports. Go into halftime, it doesn't reset going into the second half. You're still down 28-0. Volleyball, you can get skunked in the first set. Doesn't matter. It's a clean slate going into the next set. So I feel like now, granted, you're down 1-0, but the score resets going into the next one. That's a different mindset you have to have than any of these other sports. They're not really comparable in that way. And that's what makes volleyball and the mindset and the way that you coach things mentally, it's different than the other sports, which is cool.
Years ago, I had some basketball coaches tell me that they enjoyed coaching women more than men. Not a big survey, but some people that I talked to through the years because that they thought women listened more. I'm not making a generalization, but the fact that that comment came up in the 1980s, I thought was fascinating. One of the many really great things about Skinner, he's very comfortable in his own skin. He's very selfless. So he's asked, hey, come on, coach, your team, was terrible in that first, they were terrible. For a team that we hope and can win the national championship. So you have to reset. Now, listen to Skinner's soundbite because he's really, really good about sharing the wealth. He's really, really, really good about complimenting the people around him, and which is a compliment to himself because he's brought these staff members on. So instead of saying me, which wouldn't fit his personality because I think it's one of the beautiful things that he does, he's crediting his staff after that horrendous start for Kentucky against Wisconsin last night.
I got to give an enormous amount of credit to my staff. My staff does an incredible job of doing their job really well, giving the right information to our team. We don't get too emotional. I mean, it's you get too emotional, you lose sight of what's important. But I felt like everyone was angry, mad that we didn't perform well, and we got to do this and that, and you just have to flush it because that's our sport. It's over. That set is over, and we have to be upset we didn't perform well, but we got to continue to fight for the next point. And if we don't do that, we get caught up in the emotions of losing that set, getting killed in that set, then we will not have a chance in the second set. So it's just continuing to think about what's next.
What a great line. If we don't do this, or if we do this, it might have something to do with us not having a chance in the next set. It's pretty powerful. It's pretty powerful. Absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. I'm going to do this. Let's switch to Pitino. And with Kentucky playing Pitino in Atlanta tomorrow at 12:30, he did a little press conference day before the game, which is pretty normal. And Jimmy, for now, we'll start with clip one. I think we'll go straight down until we have to go to a break. He talks about the obvious, playing Kentucky.
Well, obviously, we were a replacement for UCLA in the CBS Classic, and I don't think I would have taken it if it wasn't Kentucky, because I thought it would be a great matchup. Their talent is, their size, speed, talent is outstanding, gets us ready for our conference, and we're excited about it.
Rick, they haven't played well against good teams outside of the final 10 minutes against Indiana. Did you sense anything changing for Kentucky in those finals?
Well, that's not true, because they played great against Louisville. They took Louisville at Louisville to the wire, played extremely well in that game. They've had a lot of injuries, and like us, when you have all these new players, it takes time. They're going to be a very good basketball team. They've already improved dramatically in the last 10 days.
And by the way, Pitino's defense has really improved, and I think Kentucky's defense has really improved. And I don't think Pope, and I've mentioned it a number of times, I don't think Pope has got enough credit for the players and the defense on the team improving that much. Look, nobody has any idea if JQ is going to play. Maybe, maybe not. There are all kinds of rumors. I have no idea. But Patino's doing the obvious. He said, we'll look at tape. We're going to prepare for him as if he's going to play. If he doesn't play, he doesn't play. Clip number 2, just an obvious comment that isn't talked about enough about the game of basketball.
Basketball, more than any sport, is a game of runs. You have your run, they have their runs. Last night, Marquette had a great run against Georgetown. They look like they're in total control, and boom, it changes the other way. So basketball is a game of runs. Whoever has the most runs wins the game.
Pretty simple. Whoever has the most runs. One of the things he said about his team, although they're much better defensively, he said, we don't hit people enough. Get a body on body. And there's no question that Pope has thought the same thing. He's having dinner tonight. Pope, Jeff Shepard, who apparently picked the restaurant, Jared Prickett, Wayne Turner, and a few others. He said, we're not going to talk about the game. They're going to go talk about the good old days, which is a beautiful thing. And I'd love to be a fly on the wall, Jimmy, if we could record that, right? And
Yeah.
probably won't be a lot of bleeps in there because it's not the way these guys are. But if we could record that, how good of a show would that be for about an hour?
Oh, the story. Those would be some of the best just Kentucky basketball stories you would ever hear. On the court, off the court. That's the fun thing, too, that you got. That like a lot of these stories are going to be, what the players were talking about, Patino, when they weren't at practice. This, I mean, that's the gold of these stories.
Patino said he lobbied for Pope, and then he clarified it. He still lobbied. But I think the reporter was coming from an angle like, who did you talk to in Kentucky? What did you do? These kinds of things. I was told a while ago that as much as he was for Mark, it's not like he called Mitch up and stuff like that, which he's prone to do. And that's not a negative comment, but what he did probably was as effective, and he's going to talk about it. We played it. I think everybody played it, where he put out this video which got a ton of hits across the country talking about Pope and how good he'd be and all that kind of stuff. And do I think that helped? I think it did help change the perception of Mark Pope to be the Kentucky coach. I think he helped people there. I don't think there's any question about it. So in his own way, he said he did lobby for Mark Pope.
I did. Why? Well, Kentucky's a different job. See, I took it over when they were at their nadir. It couldn't get any lower. They couldn't be on TV, couldn't play in the tournament. Everybody looked at them as a black cat, and the whole experience had to change. I had to literally go from bar to bar and say, you can't do this, you can't do that. Restaurant to restaurant, you can't do this, you can't do that.
With your players?
No, with the owners of the restaurants and bars, back when they had rules.
Right. You mean like in terms of serving the players? Or?
Yeah, you can't, because things are being done the incorrect way. So Kentucky is the most different job than any job in all of college basketball. You had people, when I first got there, telling stories about people in Eastern Kentucky sitting on mountaintops with their radios trying to tune in to listen to Adolph Rupp's Runts and all these names that they had back then. So you've got to represent Kentucky in a way that the people feel very proud. And there's no better guy than a Rhodes Scholar candidate, captain of one of the greatest teams ever to play there, a young man that's very cerebral, has done it at all levels, and really wears Kentucky on his chest. It's never going to be about money with Mark. It's never going to be about fame with Mark. It's always going to be about representing Kentucky the right way, and I thought he'd be an excellent choice.
It's really good stuff. By the way, Jimmy, if there's a better line in the show today than this, back when you had rules.
Like how he just kind of slid that in there.
And he does that. We might play a little more Patino later. I got to do a mea culpa, because if I push this show as no filter, if I think I've made a mistake, I have to say it. We had Jason Mays on, Jason has won a lot of games as a high school coach. Jared Peck did a very good article talking about the mistakes that he made. He admitted to making mistakes, and a friend of mine suggested I have him on the show. I remember Jason when he was at Georgetown College. I just didn't ask him to come on the show. I do what I call a qualifier, which I don't do a lot, but I do if I think it's necessary. If I don't do a qualifier when I'm asking Sean Woods to come on. He's been on a million times, and I bet I've interviewed Sean easily over 100 times. Neither here nor there. Plus, he worked at Channel 8. There's no need to qualify Sean Woods, but this was different. And when we had a conversation, it was quite a lengthy conversation. I said, Jason, I want you to do one thing. You've been to make mistakes. All I'm asking you to do is be honest with me when we talk. And when I picked up the phone, my thought was to have him on the show. But if I didn't like what I heard, I wasn't going to have him on the show. It's my show and whatever. And so I said at the end, I did say this, I don't remember if I said superintendent or principal, Jimmy, one or the other, that I would talk to him, and I believe in second chances. I really do. And he screwed up, but I believe in second chances. And I really do believe that if there's a principal out there who needs a coach and you sit down with him, but you got to read him the Riot Act. And I didn't push this enough, and this is on me. You got to read him the Riot Act. And you got to say, look, you have, no leeway here. If something comes in and we think you've been cheating and we can prove it, you're out before the KHSA does anything. Okay? Now, subsequently, I've had a number of coaches who I respect a ton, whose names I can't give you. Private conversations and some stories I was told that I believe are true. And it is interesting how many coaches who are respected that don't think that Jason May should coach again in high school. And I feel like my fault. I agree to have him on. It's not my friend's fault who recommended it. I qualified him. He promised me he wouldn't lie to me, and I believe he did. And I could be wrong, but I believe he did based upon some other things. This is just my humble opinion. Okay, so Jason, if you want to start suing me, be careful. I'm just saying, Jason, I wish you the best of luck. You've had a lot of success as a coach. I respect what you've won, but I also respect some things I was told, and you have admitted you've made some mistakes. So if I'm a principal and I needed a coach, after everything I said, would I sit down with him? I would, by the way. I would. But I would want a strong mea culpa, even stronger that was in the Herald Leader. And Jared does a very nice job. You think this is a shot at Jared Peck? And I'd want a much stronger mea culpa than he did with me. So, Jimmy, I think you can hear I'm taking a shot at myself. And I think if I push no filter, I think I got to be no filter. And so what I know now, this is the most honest thing I could say. Would I have had him on the air? I almost hate to tell you this, but the truth is no. Jimmy, this is my fourth year. Have you ever heard me say anything like this?
No, I'm not even close to this. No.
Yeah. I feel like if I don't say this, I'm a hypocrite. So to tell you the truth, I was really ticked off at Alan Cutler. I don't know how else to put it. Yet I wish Jason the best of luck. There are people who've done all kinds of things and gotten second chances and third chances. And if he can change and play straight, I would be good if he got another chance. Not going to be my call. Not going to be my call. People have gotten extra chances for doing things much worse than Jason did. Okay, I don't want to make it sound like blah, 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 blah. But I don't think he was forthright with us totally. And I'm just going to leave it at that. So, Jason, wish you the best of luck. I think you have value as a coach, but I think there are other coaches that wish you handled your business a different way. That's all. That's all. And apparently some principals do. And apparently the KHSA does. Okay? And they have a tough job, and I get it. So anyway, Jason, I wish you the best of luck. If you want to coach again, you should get another interview. But if I'm the principal, I would be tough. I would be tough, but I wouldn't say no, but I would be tough. Any reaction to what I said, Jimmy?
I think that's fair. And it's one of those where all you can do is just go forward with the information you have at the time. And like you said, at that time, you believed what he was saying, and then you talk to other people after the fact, and you can't always know every side of every story all at the same time,
Yep. I think that's suffice. We'll leave it at that. Again, I wish you the best of luck, and if there's an opportunity for you to coach again, you need to change. I think he knows that too. Will he? I'm not that smart, and guess what? I ain't going to guess. Now, there are some people I know that don't think he can or will change. Okay. I'm not saying that. But if he changed, he's got value as a coach. He does. Okay, that's enough. Tell you what's not enough, talking about my friends at Quantrill. The Quantrill family, they are special. Now, in the holiday season, give the gift of adventure with the Quantrill Subaru. That's right now, the 2025 Subaru Share the Love event. That's the Share the Love event. Subaru will donate $250 to one of not one, not two, not three, not four, but 5 great, amazing nonprofits, including the Hope Center. And Quantrill Subaru is stepping up in a big way, more than doubling that, donating a total of $550 for every new Subaru purchased or leased now through January 2nd. What a deal. Be part of the community and help make a difference during the 2025 Share the Love event. That's the 2025 Share the Love event at Quantrill Subaru. Learn more at QuantrillSubaru.com. And don't forget, Cadillac, beautiful cars. Volvo, beautiful cars. Subarus, beautiful cars. We have the VC60 Volvo Hybrid, and we love it. The hybrid is saving us a whole bunch of money, and it is the smoothest car we've ever owned, and plenty of room in it. Plenty of room in the back seat. It's a beautiful thing. So check them out this holiday season. What a deal between now and January 2nd. Aaron Gershon coming up next. Alan Cutler, 1300 AM, 92.5 FM.
No Filter Radio with Alan Cutler, brought to you by Quantrell Auto Group. QuantrellForLife.com.
Hi, this is Alan Cutler. Have a no filter comment? Hit the text line, 859-381-1313. 859-381-1313.
Houchins Insurance Group is proud to partner with Auto Owners Insurance, a company that provides opportunity for independent agents to make insurance simple for their clients, offering risk management services that range from a renter's policy for your college student to home and auto coverage for your entire family. Houchins Insurance Group assures you that nobody works harder to keep you protected from life's uncertainties. Reach out to AJ Boss or Zach Bennett at 859-263-2771 to see if Auto Owners Insurance makes sense for you.
I'm Kathy Binkaman. Over the holiday, there was an attempted fraud attack. My personal banker, Mary Rose, and I networked together, and the first thing that I thought of was I have to text her. And it was just within the next few minutes, there was an entire team that came together collectively. And that's just not the type of service that you typically get from your bank.
That's Kathy's story. Now let's get to work on yours. Republic Bank. Time to thrive. Member FDIC.
Hi, this is Alan Cutler. This holiday season, give the gift of adventure with Quantrell Subaru. Right now, the 2025 Subaru Share the Love event. Subaru will donate $250 to one of 5 amazing nonprofits, including the Hope Center. And Quantrell Subaru is stepping up in a big way, more than doubling that, donating a total of $550 for every new Subaru purchased or leased now through January 2nd. Be part of the community and help make a difference through the 2025 Share the Love event at Quantrell Subaru. Learn more at QuantrellSubaru.com.
Ho, ho, ho.
What are you doing, Uncle Rick?
Looking at these twinkle lights, 250 strands of lights, 100 individual bulbs per strand, for a grand total of 25,000 twinkle lights.
Well, it looks like you're not quite ready for the holidays yet. But here at Clark's Pop & Shop, we are. We have 5-hour energy shots, buy 2, get 1 free, and Mike and Ike or Hot Tamales Theater Box Candy, 2 for $2.
Maybe I should wrap up my lights so I can get over to Clark's Pop & Shop.
Uncle Rick, the little lights aren't blinking.
I know, Carl. I know.
Happy holidays from the Clark family.
Back to No Filter Radio with Alan Cutler. Podcast. podcasts on Apple, Spotify, and Google, Monday through Friday.
Mark's going to have a great run in Kentucky. He's going to have the problems that I have. The new team, 8 new players, putting them together the right way, playing against great competition, sometimes overrating somebody you bring in, overpaying somebody you bring in, no different than the Mets or the Yankees, or the Giants or Jets. You know, it's the same way. You're going to get a player that, you'll get a Brunson that you underpay. And look at him. He's the greatest value probably in the history of the New York Knicks.
That's a really good comment from Patino. All coaches are dealing with it. He's suggesting Mark has and he has. Before I introduce the guest, and I'm sorry for being late, but I bet he has a comment about this. Keith Richards is 82 years old, and there's a picture of him on Twitter without his shirt on. He should keep his shirt on. That's number one. I should keep my shirt on too, so let's be real. He said, I had 3 doctors who told me, quote, if you keep going like this, I won't give you 6 months, end of quote. Then he goes, I buried all 3 of them. I guess some people can live their life a certain way. I couldn't do it. Anyway, whatever that life was, but he's had an unbelievable life. He looks like he's 90 in this picture. Here's a guy who probably looks like he's 23 because he's living in the sun. Former outstanding reporter for the Cat's Paws, covering Kentucky forever, now in Florida as a sports information director of what school? Aaron Gashon?
Yep, New College of Florida.
So you settled in now? You having fun?
I am having fun. I'm definitely settled in, and all the kind of the rust. I wouldn't say rust, just all the newness and kind of mad dash at the beginning of the athletics year has calmed down a little bit. We're in a routine, so life has been good.
What do you think of this Mark Pope team? Just throw a caveat. Mike DeCourcy has told me, and Mike is more positive than I am, that, and I agreed with part of this weeks ago when he put it on Twitter that, hey, Kentucky has guys out, give them some grace. And I was always okay with that, but I have no patience when you don't hustle. I just don't have any patience. If guys are out, you're not the same, okay, give them a little slack, okay, but when you don't hustle, you get no slack from me. I don't care what the sport is. I don't care if it's my game. I just no slack. So, he and I disagree a little bit, and that's okay. And what say you, Aaron Gashon?
Yeah, I agree with you. I don't find any of the struggles with the hustle. You're going to miss shots. I think we talked about it. I think the last time we spoke was after the loss to Georgetown, where maybe, this team, the one issue I had, the 2 issues I had were point guard depth, which has definitely reared its ugly head, and then a lack of shooting. And both of those things have kind of reared its ugly head. And those are basketball problems, right? You hope that someone can grow into the backup point guard role where you feel comfortable. You hope that guys improve as shooters and shots start falling. That's all basketball. But the hustle and the lack of effort at times and the lack of enthusiasm, like, that is all controllable. That is not, you can't necessarily coach that. That is just you have guys that are going to do it or they're not. Last year, maybe on paper, less talented team, you never for 1 second really questioned that. They brought it basically every night. Maybe they had a hiccup or 2, but very far and in between. They really brought it. They had a chip on their shoulder. A bunch of guys who are either from mid majors or lower high majors coming to Kentucky. A lot of them for their last year of college basketball, wanting to prove themselves. And 2 of them left draft picks. A lot of them ended up with NBA G League deals, and they made a run to the Sweet 16, something this program hadn't done in 6 years at that point. So, a lot of what I've seen this year from watching them has been pretty inexcusable and pretty mind-boggling. I don't know exactly where the blame falls. It's probably a mix of everything. Patino there mentioned paying the wrong guys, and maybe that did happen, but man, it's more than just one, and that's the problem. So they get the win over Indiana, and a lot, honestly, they won that game in large part because their effort was a lot better, and Mo Diabate brought an energy to them that they hadn't had, in the games without him, or even when he was on the floor earlier in the year. So that was good to see. But man, I got to see it more than one game against an Indiana team that Kentucky should beat 9 times out of 10 and did.
See, my thing is, if they hustle against St. John's, and this is the example I've been using all week, and lose 69-66. Brett Irby says, man, they played really hard and those kinds of things. I want them to win, but I'm okay with it. I want to see the effort. Look, everybody's going to have a bad game every now and then, but they've had a lot of bad games against good teams. I mean, it is a trend. As long as they hustle really hard, whatever happens tomorrow happens tomorrow. And if they hustle really hard, I think they're going to do better than a lot of people thought, and I thought was a possibility a week or 10 days ago. And there's no need not to hustle. Do I blame Pope? Sure, because whatever he's teaching didn't go in their craniums. I also blame the players because they're responsible for their own blank feet, and they weren't moving it. So it's not just on Pope; it's on the players. Some of these guys want to make money. The NBA wants a guy who's lazy.
Yeah, they're professionals now. I mean, they're professionals now. They're getting paid to go out there and do a job. They're the highest payroll. I know it's not proven, but from all reports, they have the highest payroll in college basketball. So they're being paid to go out there and be one of the best teams in the country and play at a high level. And they haven't done that yet, and they haven't shown, the consistent effort that's needed to be that. So they got to prove it, and Mark Pope's got to find the right way to get to these guys better. And I don't know if it's again, I don't know exactly what he can do because, like you said, a lot of it is on the players and their own motivation and all that. But it's his job to get the best group of five on the floor and the guys who are playing the hardest and give them the best chance to win, getting those minutes correct, because there's definitely been some lineup issues, some patterns that haven't worked either. So there's plenty of blame to go around, especially when you're at a place like Kentucky. You're paying $22 million for a roster, and you're, what are they, 7-4, 6-4 at this point in the season with only one big win. And I don't know. I know that one's quad one for now. I think when we look at it in 2 months, it's probably gonna be a quad two. So we'll see what happens tomorrow. You hope that they can pick up where they left off from an effort standpoint yesterday and have a chance. I mean, St. John's, we look at their losses, and they've lost what, 3 or 4 games already. They're 7-3. I mean, they lost all to very quality opponents. They lost by 7 to Alabama, who's obviously really good. Iowa State, they only lost by 1. Iowa State went to Purdue and whacked them in West Lafayette. They lost to Auburn by 11 out in Vegas. So they've also beaten Ole Miss, who going into the year was a top 25 team. So it's a very good St. John's team. It's another good test, and we'll see what this Kentucky team is made of.
I've wondered this and haven't really talked about it this way. When Yelovich didn't play, and Pope has said he's not a message kind of guy, he just does what he needs to do. Well, okay, I believe you, Mark, but I also believe there's a second effect. It's tough for me to believe that every player not only noticed it, but every player can say, now, wait a second. Yelovich has been playing better and better. He hasn't played great yet. He was coming close to a breakout game. Sometimes when coaches say, it didn't fit the matchup, sometimes I think that's a little crazy at times, unless it's a quickness thing, because, mismatches happen. And sometimes you look at a guy and you say, he's playing differently against certain kind of competition. And what I call his old man game is kind of effective. And I thought it'd become more effective. And I was a little surprised he didn't play. Be that as it may, I think there are guys on the team who go, wait a second. Yelovich didn't get any clock. And if he could do it to Yelovich, and I'm not suggesting he did it on purpose for that reason, I absolutely unequivocally believe, I don't give a crap what anybody says, whether these kids will admit it or not. That is a message that somebody else who isn't starting saying, if you did it to Yelovich, you can do it for me. And I better hustle a little bit more, because the most powerful thing a coach can do is sit your fanny on the bench. What say you?
It worked for Brandon Garrison, right? I mean, I thought that probably to this point in the year, and it's low hanging fruit because there aren't that many great moments, but that was probably Mark Pope's best coaching job of the year, was the lack of hustle. And I don't even remember what crappy game it was from Brandon Garrison. He sits him on the bench the entire second half, doesn't see the court again. And then against Indiana, the guy came out and played his best game of the year and was an impact maker in that game. They don't win that game without him. So it worked in that case. Yelovich, I think you're probably right. I don't know if it was necessarily intentional, because I don't think he's a guy that I've questioned his effort, at least from what I've seen. And I've watched almost every minute of the season outside of the majority of the Gonzaga game. he's not a guy I was really worried about effort-wise. It was more so just adjusting to college basketball. And like you said, I think there's some throwback to his game. I think he's doing some good things. I think eventually shots are going to fall for him too, if he lives kind of up to what he was overseas. But I think a lot of what his deal was just Mo Diabate came in and played way better than he had all year. And, they didn't necessarily even expect him back yet, right? Where he kind of was toughing through that injury. They brought him in off the bench. It wasn't even like there was more talk. There was just not much talk about him being ready for that game. And then magically he's ready and played his best game of the year by a miles. So I think a lot of that was just Mo Diabate at the same position, kind of taking those minutes. But yeah, I mean, it's still if you're a guy who's kind of on the bubble, really everyone on this team outside of a couple guys are kind of on that bubble for playing time right now. There's outside of Otega, Owe, I think Jalen Lowe, obviously, when he's fully ready, is the point guard one. When Jaden Quaintance is back, he's locked in to a spot. But a lot of Colin Chandler has a steady role, but this team, they're still trying to figure things out. No one really, outside of the handful of guys I mentioned, have like a locked in role. So when they saw that with Yelovich, I'm sure it's eye opening. And again, it worked with Brandon Garrison, a guy who's a junior, a guy that's a former McDonald's All-American. Like, he could have easily taken it the wrong way, and to his credit, he took it the right way. And you hope that the response from Yelovich, if it was intentional or not, and then other guys that this may happen to in the future, is just like Brandon's, because it was, you got to give him a lot of credit. He's a guy that gets a lot of heat up in Lex, and he got it last year when I was there, and I get it, but you got to also credit the good things, and my gosh, did he respond in the right way.
Yeah, let me correct something. I'm not suggesting for a second that this was a message to Yelovich. That's
No,
not what I'm saying, but
I
I'm
agree.
saying
I agree.
everybody pays attention to that, to say, ooh,
That's what I'm.
him.
Oh no, yeah. We're saying the same.
I just want to make sure that was understood, because he's done nothing to bench him for like a hustle.
Absolutely not.
And one of the players, I don't remember who it was, made a comment that he kind of like freaked out when he got here. Not from like, this is like playing football in comparison to what he was playing. And he had to get used to the physicality. And I had said initially that I thought it would take mid-January, was my guess, until he become good. And I think when he gets totally comfortable, and he should be totally comfortable, but if not mid-January, he's going to shoot much better, because he's just going to be a lot more relaxed on the court. I like him, but one of the things a bunch of us, and I said this many times before the season, how the hell are you going to keep all these kids happy? Because there's a bunch of guys that are not going to get the playing time they want. This is not kumbaya. And I think Bruce Pearl said, then I want you to respond, when you have so many guys between 5 and 10 that can be close to the starters or good enough to start, and they don't get clocked, they don't get playing time, it can cause a problem. When there's more of a divide between 1 and 5 and 5 and 10, there might be some players delusional who say to themselves, I'm better, blah, 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 all that kind of stuff. But there's such closeness. I mean, what I'm fascinated tomorrow? I have no idea if Noah's not going to start tomorrow. The way Chandler is shooting, I don't know if he's not going to start tomorrow. He could really change the starting lineup or stay with his kids and say, hey, Noah's going to play 11 minutes anyway. We'll do it at the start. I'm going to be fascinated to see the starting lineup. And I got to tell you, if he doesn't make a change in the starting lineup tomorrow, that kind of tells me he might go with this starting lineup for a while and then have maybe your best player come off the bench.
And look, there's the wild card of is Jaden Quaintance back tomorrow, right? Like, it's a possibility. It's too hard now that I'm, 3 states away or whatever. It's a little harder for me to get a read on that or not. Reading through the tea leaves, it sure sounds like there's a really good chance he's back tomorrow. So, that affects the rotation as well. And then is Jalen Lowe ready to start again? Is Mo Diabate ready to start again? Thankfully, Lowe and Bate are game changers when they're on the court, especially if Diabate is going to play like he did at most of his time in Alabama, and then how he played last Saturday against Indiana compared to how he was playing earlier in the year when he was healthy. So, I again, it goes back to what we were talking about, I think, in the last question or 2 questions ago. Like, this team, there's not that many set roles right now. They're still competing, and that's the one I guess, positive when you have that many guys is there's always competition and there's always options. The question is, are those options going to work out or not? But there are always options with this team, and guys are going to continue to get a chance, and guys are going to continue to lose opportunities if they don't play up to their standards, and that's why you have depth in the first place. So hopefully that ends up working out to their advantage, rather than, like you said, the possibility of too many mouths to feed and unhappiness brewing. But so far, when that one situation did present itself, or two really, with Yelovich, again, I think it really just came down to Mo Diabate stealing his minutes. I don't, like you said, I don't think it was anything performance related from him. Yeah, but seems like that won't be an issue. I don't think he's going to respond in a bad way. And then, with Brendan Garrison getting his butt benched against a not so good team, a chance to get some valuable minutes and maybe boost confidence. Instead, he's on the bench and he comes out against a tougher opponent, in less than a week and responds the exact way you
When
want
I
him to.
was your age doing TV 1,000 years ago, there would be this chuckle if an old guy would make a comment in the media, like in the good old days, it was better. So perhaps I'm sounding like an old guy. Let me throw this at you. Will Wade, who's a hell of a basketball coach,
Yes, he is.
methods, whatever. He is a hell of a basketball coach. One of the better basketball coaches in the country. And maybe some things that people think he did before the rules changed, you can do now, whatever. But he's also really good at spotting talent, and talent that was overlooked and ended up being really good. And he doesn't get enough credit for that because people jump on him. Here's the quote.
I
You
agree.
probably saw it. Quote, "We have a 3.0 GPA. That's wonderful, ... If we were running a daycare, we run a competitive basketball program. We've got a lot of casual personalities on this team." Hang on. Bruce Pearl, in response, "This is spectacular!" Exclamation point. Spectacular that he's a big closet fan of Will Wade. Is it possible? Is it possible? Because I think it is. There comes me being the old guy. And I'm not saying these kids are soft, and I'm not calling them wimps. I'm really not. If I wanted to, I would just do it. You know me better than that. But I don't think the kids today are as tough, I'll just say it, as it was in the good old days. Am I right?
They're not. They're not even as tough as they were before NIL. I mean, they're not. We're the transfer portal. Like I don't think that's incorrect at all. I mean, obviously, the further back you go, the more physical and tougher they were. But even I just go back to like the Bam Adebayo, De'Aaron Fox team. That team was a lot tougher and mentally stronger. The Tyler Heroes, like that guy, you did not mess with that guy. Like he was strictly business when he was out on the court. He almost turned into a whole different animal. And that was only 2018-19 season. Like the Tyrese Maxey group, that who knows what would have happened if they got into the dance. With Nick Richards, when he finally grew up and became that guy you don't mess with as a junior, and Emmanuel quickly, like it's just completely different. Even like the COVID year, the last year before, really everything, all the cans of worms open. Like that Baylor team and Gonzaga that played in that championship, those two teams were just tough as nails. And Jalen Suggs hitting that near half court shot to send them into the national championship, like just completely fearless. Like it's a whole different game now. And these kids, the second someone pushes them the wrong way, the second a negotiation goes wrong, or they feel like they might get benched, like it's just it's so soft out there. Not saying everyone is. There's plenty of guys who are very physical and very much old school. I think Mo Diabate is one of them, but there's no question. I couldn't agree more. And that's not only in college basketball, that's in all of college sports right now. It's just a different climate.
Let me throw it at you. This makes me laugh. Jody Demling, I'm guessing you know Jody. He's been a very good reporter in Louisville for a long time, and very biased towards Louisville, and that's fine. I don't give a rat's. I'm just saying it. But Jody,
he's a radio voice.
Paul Rogers does a play-by-play, but he does he do women's basketball and some other stuff with Louisville, I think?
He does some, right? I think he does. Yeah.
But he's very biased towards Louisville. I'm a big negative. It's just who he is. But he is a reporter. According to sources, Kentucky heavily pursued Louisville cornerback coach Steve Ellis for the same role in Lexington, but Ellis has opted to remain with Brahman Company Louisville. Okay, Vince Morrow, it does Vince Morrow. I just chuckle at this stuff.
I know. I was
Don't
chuckling
mess
too.
with the big dog. He knows we own the state. The best DB coach in college football. Really? When did Louisville own the state?
Yeah, and he was saying the same thing when he was over here less than a year ago. Like it's just look, it's the big dog. Like I respect it. He was great here, but own the state. It's been they've won the last two Governor Cup last two Governor Cups, and this year the last 2 years they've absolutely destroyed Kentucky in every facet. But also, all year long when I'm on Twitter, it's fire the defensive coordinator, fire the DB coach on Louisville Twitter. So I don't know about best DB coach in the country. I know they've had some NFL draft picks out of there the last handful of years, like Quincy Riley, but yeah, I don't know, man. It's the big dog. He's got a mind of his own.
Kind of like he's become sort of a funny character.
Oh yeah, it's almost a bit. It feels like a bit at this point.
It is a bit. That's a good way of putting it. Last comment you have about football or basketball that's in your cranium with great strength. My old friend Aaron Gershon, who doesn't look like he needs suntan oil. You're not getting enough sun in Florida, dude.
Not enough. I don't know. I was in Kentucky for almost 2 weeks, so that might have. I'm trying to catch up, but yeah, I don't know. I'm just fascinated. This basketball thing is, there's plenty to talk about football. I think a lot of good things going on there. Basketball, I'm just fascinated to see if this team can turn it around or not. I just have a bad read on this team, and maybe it's because it's my first time being away from them, in person every day in a while. But like, I think there are some talented players. I like what I hear when I hear them speak and speak to the media, but when I watch them on the court, I'm very just not inspired and very frustrated with it. And I'm very curious because I do think this team is capable of turning it around. I do think while the SEC is still super, super strong, it's definitely not what it was last year. And you've seen some teams like Ole Miss kind of take a step back. You've seen, Texas hasn't quite taken the year one jump I thought they would with Sean Miller. Like, there's definitely more winnable games in the conference than there were last year, and Kentucky did pretty well in the conference last year. And then, some teams have made jumps like Vandy, but for the most part, it's taken a step back. So it's like, if they can get this game against St. John's, or like you said, play really well and come just short, but play really well, like that can give you some hope going into the SEC slate. And, you want to be able to buy into this team. But I'm just curious to see where my mind's going to be on this team, after tomorrow. Because as of right now, I'm like, man, I don't know if this is an NCAA tournament team. And I'm not saying that for clickbait or anything. Like, I watched them. I'm like, I don't know if this is going to be a team that ends up in the dance when they are, they struck out in their first four big games. And then the SEC is not nearly as strong as it was last year. And I don't know how they're going to really play against the Alabamas and Tennessees. So tomorrow, I think is a real, and plus the Patino factor in the sense that if this team is bought into their head coach, they're going to go and fight their tails off for him and make sure they win this game for him. Maybe they don't do it, but they're going to play as hard as they possibly can and leave it all on the court. Where I didn't necessarily feel that way in the Louisville game, which they did it last year in the Louisville game. They did it almost the entire Cal era. So like, tomorrow's a huge measuring stick game for me. Not, in part because of that, but just it's our last non-conference opportunity before conference play. Like, I'm probably gonna have a hot take either way tomorrow. Like, either very doom or gloom, one way or the other.
Aaron Gershon, formerly the Cat's Paws, now sports information director of the New College of Florida, kind enough to join us. If I don't talk to you, bless you, brother. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Enjoy.
Yes, have a great time. Always appreciate you taking your knowledge. Good talking to you. Good seeing your smiley face.
Good seeing you, man. I'll talk to you soon.
Thanks. Jimmy's always good. Strong Aaron Gershon. Coming up next, Jonathan Davis. Shy Jonathan Davis. Wink, wink. Facetious. Not being facetious here. Saw Terry Page yesterday, and with my problem with my knees, she worked him over pretty good. And I got to tell you, I guess if you don't understand what she does as far as pushing things through, I had blood rushing all over my body when I was done yesterday because of all the movement that she got in muscles and stuff like that. And it's really different. It's not like going to get a massage. She can do that. She's never done it for me, but it's always, well, I always have things to work on and that kind of stuff. So it's tough. It's physical. She's a healer. She's spectacular. If you have issues in any part of your body, physically, that kind of thing, she's great. She's not good. She's great. 859-373-0578. 859-373-0578. Terry Page in Butler, Kentucky, Monday and Tuesday, Thursday and Friday here in Lexington. Please use my name. She's on Regency Road, really centrally located. Check her out. Use my name, 859-373-0578. Thank you, Aaron. Alan Cutler, 1300 AM, 92.5 FM.
No Filter Radio with Alan Cutler, brought to you by Quantrell Auto Group. QuantrellForLife.com.
Hi, this is Alan Cutler. Have a no-filter comment? Hit the text line, 859-381-1313. 859-381-1313.
Ho, ho, ho.
What are you doing, Uncle Rick?
Looking at these twinkle lights, 250 strands of lights, 100 individual bulbs per strand, for a grand total of 25,000 twinkle lights.
Well, it looks like you're not quite ready for the holidays yet, but here at Clark's Pep & Shop, we are. We have M&M, Milky Way, Snickers, or Twix share-size candy bars, 2 for $4.50, or Uncle Ray's potato chips, 8-ounce bags, 2 for $6.
Maybe I should wrap up my lights so I can get over to Clark's Pep & Shop.
Uncle Rick, the little lights aren't blinking.
I know, Carlo. I know.
Happy holidays from the Clark family.
Hi, this is Alan Cutler. This holiday season, give the gift of adventure with Quantrell Subaru. Right now, the 2025 Subaru Share the Love event. Subaru will donate $250 to one of 5 amazing nonprofits, including the Hope Center. And Quantrell Subaru is stepping up in a big way, more than doubling that, donating a total of $550 for every new Subaru purchased or leased now through January 2nd. Be part of the community and help make a difference through the 2025 Share the Love event at Quantrell Subaru. Learn more at QuantrellSubaru.com.
My name is Terry Schultz, CEO for the Rutherford County Area Habitat for Humanity. Republic Bank has really been a game changer. They have invested not only financially, but time to really listen so that we can move our mission forward. What I like about Republic Bank is they've come in asking, what are your needs? And I don't know that you get that any other place.
That's Terry's story. Now let's get to work on yours. Republic Bank. Time to thrive. Member FDIC.
Houchins Insurance Group is proud to partner with Auto Owners Insurance, a company that provides opportunity for independent agents to make insurance simple for their clients, offering risk management services that range from a renter's policy for your college student to home and auto coverage for your entire family. Houchins Insurance Group assures you that nobody works harder to keep you protected from life's uncertainties. Reach out to AJ Boss or Zach Bennett at 859-263-2771 to see if Auto Owners Insurance makes sense for you.
W223CV Lexington. ESPN Sports Radio 1392.5. WLXG Lexington. And LM Communications Broadcasting Station. The only no-filter sports show in Kentucky. It's the Alan Cutler Show with award-winning TV sportscaster Alan Cutler.
Yeah, I won't hang up until you tell me you love me.
All right, I love you.
Ladies and gentlemen, you've heard it from Alan Cutler. He said he loves Sean Woods. I feel the same. I've always thought you're absolutely the best and always enjoyed being around you. And
Everything you said was absolutely 100% correct.
Man, is this the great Alan Cutler? Is this the infamous Alan Cutler?
Of all the broadcast television people that I've encountered, you are among the absolute elite.
Cut to the chase has a 5-length lead past the 16th pole. Cut to the chase. Victor Espinoza to win it.
Continue doing what you're doing. You're really good at it.
Be nice, America. Let's have a great day.
Win number 9, that's the future. That's the only goal I have.
They look like kittens more than wildcats, in my opinion.
Hello, Mark. Mr. Pope, 1996.
Oh, my gosh.
What?
Hey, let's give it up right here. This is my guy. Yes. I'm so happy to see you.
Hey, gratitude is a skill, guys. But if you practice, it will give you a joyful life regardless of your circumstances.
Well, I think it hurt a great deal when I was at Louisville. I walked into Rupp. Really hurt. But I will say, today I realize why. If I went back next year to Olympiacos, And I walked into part of tonight, so I won't be cheered. So I realize that today. But I'm happy that my name is hanging from the rafters of Rupp Arena. And it's a big part of my life, a big part of 8 great years I've had there. So I'm happy to be part of their family.
No Filter Radio with Alan Cutler, brought to you by Quantrell Auto Group. QuantrellForLife.com.
Rick Pitino, part of his press conference yesterday as he's getting ready to play Pope, and a bunch of the former UK players under Pitino, they'll have dinner tonight in Atlanta, and not going to talk about the game tomorrow. They're going to talk about the good old days and stuff like that. And as I mentioned in the first hour, what a show that would make. Oh, my goodness. That would be absolutely unequivocally spectacular. Spectacular. Let's play one more Pitino soundbite. To the obvious, why Rick Pitino loves his captain, Mark Pope.
Well, when you get a team that's one of the greatest in NCAA history, that was a team that had a lot of egos. And there was one person, 2 people that were totally selfless, and Mark was the captain of a team with a lot of egos, and he had to keep everybody in line and keep everybody as one fist, and he did a fabulous job of doing that because everybody knew how selfless he was. It was never, ever about Mark Pope.
Never, ever about Mark Pope. And then Pitino didn't say who the second one was. My guess would have been Shepard. Guess. I don't know. I find that very interesting. I am concerned about Zuby, the big man for St. John's, who's really strong, and he can shoot from the outside going against Marino. I think Marino, for a freshman, he's been great. I don't know enough of the centers who are freshmen across the country, but Jimmy, I got to believe that he's up there on any freshman All-American list. But I also think he needs to get stronger. And Zuby was really strong last year. He's a big, strong man. He's NBA strong. And Marino's not NBA strong. He's just not. Am I ripping the kid? Are you kidding? Kid's been great. He's been great. And I can't wait for this kid for next year because I think he's going to be a lot better and a lot stronger. And he's already a lot stronger than he was in high school, which you would expect. And of all the matchups, that one concerns me the most. And it'll be interesting to see how the minutes are divided up. Look, I have no idea if JQ is going to play. There are rumors and all that kind of stuff, and you know that. And if he does play, Jimmy, if he plays more than 10 minutes, I'm going to be shocked. But oftentimes, when the guy comes back, he's supposed to play 5 minutes, and you hear a coach say so often, I only wanted to play him 5-8 minutes, but it ended up 20 minutes. I'll be shocked if he plays 20 minutes. I'm not even know if he's going to play. But it's going to be interesting if one of the reasons why Garrison woke up, and he did, more power to him. He got benched. He deserved to be benched. It was a message, although Pope says he doesn't do messages, basically said he wasn't playing well, so I'm sitting him down. I still think it's a message. We look at things a little differently, and that's fine. But the kid responded, and I've been tough on him. I have been tough on him. Don't apologize. There are parts of his games I don't like. And if he fixes it, great. I'll say he's doing great. It's a pretty simple deal with me. It's a very simple deal. But Garrison isn't stupid. He knows and has known when JQ comes back, it's less minutes for somebody. And I don't think this is going to be a 3-headed monster where it's kumbaya, 10 minutes for one, 10 minutes for another, 10 minutes for another, and then who's playing best plays at the end? Maybe, but I would doubt it. I would doubt it. And when Garrison came here, he came here with the thought of 2 years. That's what they sold him on. They sold him on that. And that's okay. Because I think it was pretty smart saying, hey, you're not going to be ready in 1 year. You better admit it. And if you are and you end up going, God bless, more power to you. But we don't see it that way. And I think he sold it that way. And I think it was smart. So the bigs down low, to me, will be very interesting to see how it plays out. Jonathan Davis texted me, and he's got something going on in business. We might hear from Jonathan after 1:30, not sure. Adam Zagoria from 1:30, he might join us in another 5 or 10 minutes. We're just kind of rolling and playing it by ear. I'll tell you what I do want to do. Jimmy, give me a thumbs up when you have the Jeff Traylor soundbite. And this is really good. Jeff Traylor has come into, you're fast with the thumbs up, Jimmy, has come into play for a number of reasons. One, because some of his guys are now at Kentucky. Stein is one of his guys, and they had a relationship going back to Texas. And Joe Price, one of his guys. A number of guys have gone through USTA. It's a hell of a program. It really is. And he's upset. And he kind of sounds a little bit like Stoops and some other coaches. I really don't want to complain about this, but I got to complain about this. And this is crazy. And I love being a coach, but this NIL stuff is nuts. So, he's getting ready to play in a little bowl game. And he's having difficulty. Now, as you listen to this soundbite, and Jimmy, one of the things that I'm going to harp on is the number of millions that he believes some of these big-time teams have. And I don't think he's grasping for straws. I don't think he's pulling it out of his ear. Coaches talk to people. Coaches talk to agents. Coaches find out how they lose people. I think there are more coaches that know that's what's going on than they're telling the media. And I'm not ripping from them for that. I just do. But listen to the soundbite. This is not just the problem in Kentucky. It's not just the problem at Missouri, who lost their quarterback. They got a hell of a team, but Drinkwitz lost his quarterback. And we might play his sound too. And I had a friend of mine who played in the NFL. It was a very good player, a local guy, who said, I'd be okay if they put a cap on for $500,000. I don't know how you can do that, by the way. I don't know how you do that. But I think it'd be better for college sports and all for what anybody makes. But I do believe if you put a cap on for $500,000, I swear to you, I absolutely believe there'll still be cheating and somebody who might make millions under the table. Let's play this soundbite. And then we're going to go to my friend Adam Zagoria. Here it is.
We'll be a shell of ourselves, but whoever we got out there, we're going to go out there and play the best we can. It's just the numbers so big with all the tampering, all the agents, it's coaches too, it's all of them. Our kids are being numbered they're being promised such incredible numbers. They're getting lured into the portal. I just hope all the things those coaches and agents are promising they're going to do for my kids. I really hope so. I hate it because I really want to coach them in a bowl game, but they're getting leveraged out of it. Their agents are telling them if they got to not play in the bowl and they'll get this number, they don't play in the bowl, so it's ridiculous. I hate what's going on with college football. I just think the numbers has gotten so large. You're talking about teams that have $26 million to $40 million, and the number's just too big. And who knows if they're being told the truth? It's sad. It really is sad. I never thought we'd be, punished for making a bowl game by being leveraged. That if you don't give them this certain number, they're not going to play in the bowl. But I'm going to celebrate the kids we have left. Whoever that is, we'll go out there and play our tails off. And I'm very grateful for them. And again, I hate that we're talking about the 10 to 15 that probably are not going to play in the game, or 20, whatever that number ends up being. We should be talking about the 90 to 85 that are going to go play with their teammates. It's like I have just woke up in another world as compared to where we were 6 years ago. The last time we went to the First Responders Bowl, how many of our guys now would show up at 5 a.m. to get 3 nurses stick Q-tips in your nose so you could practice that day? And now we're opting out because you don't get a certain number, you're not playing the bowl. It's sad what we're doing to kids. It really is. And I hate it because I swore I wouldn't let y'all get me into this anymore. But y'all are smart. Y'all are seeing all the kids that are out there now. The game. What am I do? Sit up here and lie to y'all? I mean, I can't lie to you. You got to comment on it. It's terrible what we're doing. There's no such thing as tampering. There's no such thing. Coaches talk to players. Agents talk to players. Oh, with internal men, coach. Do you think those players are going to give me the coach that's actually talking to them? Why? It's driving the price up. The more they get driven up, the price goes up higher and higher and higher. And as long as there are people going to pay it, who's going to stop it? What's going to stop this? What's going to stop it? Only the free enterprise system is going to stop it. Because when there's no more money left, what are we going to all do?
Well, that's not a Southeastern Conference coach. That's USTA. And the other thing is Joe Price, who was his wideout coach, is now at Kentucky officially. And quick quote, then we'll go to my friend Zags. On Joe Price, the new wideout coach of Kentucky, no one deserves more credit for the success of USTA in the last 6 years than Price. No one has done more on and off the field than any man than Joe Willie Price. Keep being you, my brother. That's pretty cool. You lose a guy, and you're saying what wonderful things, and Kentucky's lucky to have him. And I'm lucky that this guy juggled the schedule. We're doing a little juggling today. Since Zags has created Frisbees and throwing the Frisbees and that kind of stuff, he's used to adjusting. Friend of mine from New York, a great tennis guru who's got a website, and for some reason, things happen. He ends up writing a bunch of stuff on Kentucky every now and then, and I like to retweet it to help him out, that kind of thing. He was I heard your voice, Zags, in the Pitino press conference that I looked at like 1:30 in the morning.
Yes, sir.
Yep, getting ready for today, and you know Pitino really well. So, Zags, one, thank you for joining me. Two, give yourself, before I forget, a great plug for everything you do, and then let's talk about Ricky P.
I mean, more importantly, let's talk about your beard and your hairstyle. I feel like I'm talking to Bobby Weir or Jerry Garcia here.
Except for one thing, I wish I had like a tenth of their talent.
Yeah, you look kind of like late stage Bobby Weir right now. You got it going on.
Yeah, and when the beard gets longer, I've been accused of looking like Jerry Garcia with, without the headsets on, with my hair longer and stuff like that. It's all good.
I love it. I love it.
So tell me about Ricky P and the job he's doing, because I think he's doing a great job. The only thing about him I can't figure out is that how he doesn't have better shooters. And I said that when he was at Louisville too. I mean, this is the mastermind of the three-point shot. He's a hell of a defensive coach, and his guys improved during the year. He's such a brilliant coach, and as much as people talk about it, I still don't think he gets enough credit. But tell me about Ricky P and the job he's doing at St. John's.
Yeah, I mean, look, the big picture is that, he's a huge story here in New York City. Just 15 minutes ago, he did an interview on WFAN, which is the big sports radio show here in New York. The interest in St. John's is, multifold over what it was a few years ago under Mike Anderson. They're getting 15, 16, 17,000 people at Madison Square Garden. They got 15,000 for St. John's Iona. There's a lot of excitement, and with that comes expectations, right? I mean, they lost in the second round of the tournament to John Calipari in Arkansas last year. Was a little disappointing. They started out number 5, Allen, in the preseason poll this year, right behind UConn, and now they're number 22. They don't really have a big signature win in the non-conference. They beat Baylor, but they lost to Alabama. They lost some of these other games. So this game Saturday in Atlanta is big for both teams, right? I mean, both teams have disappointed a little bit. Kentucky's out of the poll. St. John's is 22. Both teams, I know everyone's talking about Mark Pope and Rick Pitino and all that, but this is a big game for the teams and their resumes in terms of the NCAA tournament. And, a couple of stats I found interesting is Rick is 18-4 as a coach against former players of his who are now coaches, including 7-0 against Billy Donovan and 1-0 against Mark Pope. And he's 9-1 in Atlanta, having won 9 straight, including the 2013 Final Four with Louisville and the 1995 SEC tournament. So he's had a lot of success in Atlanta. He's had a lot of success against his former players. And, Mark Pope, is going to have his hands full here.
You think there's extra pressure on Pope because he reveres Pitino so much, and it's student versus pupil? I think there's more pressure on Pope than Pitino. That's me. But what say you, Adam Zagoria Zags?
Yeah, I guess you're right. I mean, again, I just think that I had somebody say to me like a year or two ago, if you were going to pick one coach in college basketball to win a single, elimination game, that more than 50% of the coaches might pick Rick to coach their team. There's some great coaches out there. Bill Self's won a couple titles. Dan Hurley's won a couple titles. But I'm not sure anybody is better than Rick, X's and O's wise. And, he missed some time in the NBA coaching the Knicks and the Celtics. Otherwise, he'd be up there with Coach K for most wins all time in the college game. So, you got to, in terms of just as a coach, you have to pick Rick. And yeah, I guess there's pressure on Pope just because, BBN is so huge and there's a lot of expectations there. If Rick loses, like New York is always going to be a pro town and it's going to be more about the Yankees and the Giants and the Knicks and that kind of thing.
Matchup wise, I think Zuby is really good. He's got NBA strong. I think he's going to play in the league forever. And Marino, for a freshman, is great. He's a wonderful kid, but he's a freshman. And he's much stronger than he was in high school. But I think Zuby is so much stronger than Marino. That's the one matchup. And he's got to be up there as best freshman centers in the country. There's no question about it. But he ain't Zuby. And I've watched Zuby a lot. Maybe you've watched him more. But I watch St. John's every time I can. He's really tough and really good. And if you're a Kentucky fan, to me, that's the matchup that would concern me the most.
Yeah, I mean, look, the strength of this St. John's team, Alan, is their front court. Zuby Ejiofor, then they have Bryce Hopkins and Dylan Mitchell, and then they bring this kid Ruben Prey, who's like 7 feet and can shoot it from three off the bench. So their front court is really their strength. Rick pointed out today that their top three assists guys are their two fours, Hopkins and Mitchell, and their five in Zuby. So they've got, physical, strong bigs who can pass it, and that's really their strength. Now, their weakness is they don't really have a point guard. He doesn't really have a pure point guard. He's sort of vacillated from first he said Ian Jackson was going to be the point, then he said they're going to play positionless basketball, then he said Osiah Sellers from Stanford, who's really more of a two guard, was going to be the point. Now he's back to playing Ian Jackson, who's really a shooting guard, former McDonald's All-American who transferred from North Carolina. They have this kid Dylan Darling who comes off the bench, who transferred in, who's more of a pure point. But the one weakness for St. John's is they don't really have a pure point guard. I wonder if that's going to catch up to them in March, or if in the next 3 months Rick can mold Ian Jackson into a point. They've got some shooters, Osiah Sellers, Josen Sonone, who transferred from Arizona State, and Ian Jackson can all shoot it a little bit. The big guys can shoot it a little bit. So there's a lot of weapons. It's a very diverse team, but they don't have a pure point guard.
It's interesting. It's easy for me to remember his age because we're the same age. He's a month older and looks a lot older too. Tell him I said, sure, like he'll really care. But he still does the on the court one-on-ones. And he kind of told me decades ago, when the time comes, he can't do those one-on-ones because he loves teaching on the court. He'll probably retire. But he had a story, the player, I'm not sure which one it was, that one of his kids, he said, I thought this was really good coaching. One of his kids was only using 40% of the rim because he was shooting his shot as a line drive, and he's on the court and probably swishing him like crazy because he shoots every day, as you know, and showing him how to high arc the ball so you can use the whole rim. And there
Might have been, maybe it was Kadari Richmond last year, the point guard.
He did it last year too. But he was talking about one of the kids on the team this year. He did do it with Kadari Richmond. Yeah. But the fact he's out there showing him, hey, kid, you're only using 40% of the rim if you're shooting a line drive. And if you shoot it high, you might get a bounce. And there's more space in that. 73, he's displaying what the hell to do. And changing a shot for a kid during the season is not an easy thing to do.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think Rick has been known throughout his career for his individual player development that he does with his players. He works with each player individually. And these kids transfer there because they know he can make them get better. Look, they all want to play in the NBA. He's coached there. He's constantly talking about how he coached Donovan Mitchell and Jamal Mashburn and guys like that. And, a guy like Bryce Hopkins, he's been consistently saying Rick has that he's not aggressive enough. He needs to be more of an alpha dog. And he tells him flat out, look, if you want to play in the NBA, you need to be more of an alpha dog. So he's, he knows how to call these kids out, confront them, and sort of use the media to get his message across. And, that's why these guys go to play for him, because they want to be challenged and they want to become better players.
I think if you are soft and you go play for Rick, it'd be the dumbest thing on the face of the earth.
That's true. I mean, it's, he's fun to cover. He's fun for a guy like me to cover because you can get him talking about all kinds of stuff about, I've gotten him talking about Big East expansion in the past few weeks, and, he wants Dayton, and he kind of wanted Notre Dame, and he thinks UConn's going to inevitably leave the league. And, between him and Dan Hurley, they give me a lot of lot of things to write about. So
Do
it's
they
fun.
really hate each other, or it's just a rivalry on the court?
Yeah, I think it's more of a mutual respect at this point. Look, Danny has what Rick wants, right? Like Danny won two of the last three national championships and was kind of dominating the Big East. And, Rick had been the kind of big dog in the Big East in college basketball for a long time. And then, Dan sort of usurped that a little bit. And that, the two games that they're going to play this year in February are always, big time events. And of course, the Big East tournament at the Garden will be big time. And this is a year for the league where, the Big East might only get three, maybe four teams in this year. And that's even a question mark. And the only real two legit NCAA teams are St. John's and UConn. So, they're the flag bearers for the league right now.
You see this salary that kids are getting now going up and up and up. Do you think it's going to curtail because deals underneath the table? I don't care all this stuff they've done, with the school gets, a little over 20 million and split it up that way. And that's nice, but it's BS because I know kids are getting offers under the table that's so far on top of what any school can play that it's not even funny. Is there a ceiling to this? Is there going to be a crash at a certain point? I know some people who are donating a lot of money. If you don't win, they're going to say, well, why should I continue doing it? And this whole system is nuts.
Yeah, I heard you talking about that with your last guest a little bit. Yeah, it's just so, everything is kind of gray and the salaries and stuff aren't printed. I get people all the time asking me and tagging me in tweets like, hey, is there a list of the NIL budgets for the Big East teams and all that? And it's not public. So, there's a lot of stuff that goes on with the agents inflating what they think their players are worth. Rick even commented earlier this season on the supposed 22 million figure for Kentucky's budget. And he's like, look, there's no proof of that. He's talked to Mark. That's not really the number. I've seen numbers north of 10 million thrown out for St. John's budget, but it's also, behind the scenes that it's hard to really know. And you do wonder, the beauty of college basketball is the mid majors and the Cinderellas, especially during the tournament, that make runs. And you wonder, are these schools going to be able to compete financially with the SEC schools and the Big Ten schools going forward?
I know on football fields after games, kids are being approached right after the game. I know this. It's crazy. It's really crazy. Hey, I appreciate your time. Enjoyed covering Pitino. One of the great joys of my career was all the time he was here because there was never a dull moment. I wonder if he does now what he used to do. Like there'll be some issue going on or something like that. And Brooks Downing, then the SID would call me and he'd call Tipton and maybe somebody else say, hey, don't ask him about this. He's really ticked off the way.
It's funny you mentioned, I'm going to throw this story out real quick because he was asked about, did you lobby for Mark Pope? And he said he was, he did. And then he went into this whole monologue about how the Kentucky job is unlike any other job in the country because it's so important to the people of the state. And he said that he had, I don't know if he's talked about this down there, but that he had to go one by one to owners of the bars and restaurants in Lexington when he got there to talk to them. He's basically saying about serving the players and how they had to tone down, he had to limit, I guess, the kind of impression was like alcohol and stuff that they were serving the players on that Kentucky team. And he had to tell them, you can do this, you can't do that. So I thought that was kind of interesting. Has he ever talked about that down there?
Yeah, I played the soundbite though, by the way. It was really good. He made a bigger deal of it. Part of that thing was they were worried about the NCAA watching over them like they used to in the good old. They used to check the cars out at Wildcat Lodge, by the way. They really did. That's how. This is before Pitino. That's how they would do it. So they were worried that they would catch the kids getting too many free meals and stuff like that. And kid gets a free meal. Who the hell cares?
Right.
Who the hell cares?
It was more about NCAA rules than it was like drinking late at the bars kind of thing.
Yeah, I think it was. I think it was, because then somebody rats on somebody, or a Louisville fan at the time would say, hey, call up. You know how it is. Alabama and Auburn used to get each other in trouble. And then there was behind the scenes decades ago where they got together. You shut up and I'll shut up about you. You shut up and I'll shut up about you. And then all of a sudden, it's amazing. They weren't getting on probation. And by the way, that stuff has happened in Kentucky. You know, one side wants to rat on the other side and that kind of stuff. And so sometimes, not all the time, there's a little meeting of the minds. Shut the blank up and I'll shut the blank up, because, you know, you hurt me. Now, if I hurt you, you know, whatever. But you know how that stuff goes.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that was just a kind of a funny story he told. And, you know, it should be a fun game. And like we said, it's a big game for both teams. And I think it'll be kind of a road game for St. John's. I know Kentucky travels well. It's in Atlanta. I think, you know, Rick and the St. John's players are expecting it to be a tough road kind of environment.
By the way, last thing, here's what he used to do when it was the whole thing, like, don't ask him about this. And then all of a sudden, he wouldn't shut up about it.
Yeah. That's what makes him great for guys like me, is you can get him talking about anything.
Amen. He was the best. Hey, Zach, thanks for jumping on earlier. I appreciate it. Keep doing what you're doing. You do a great job. And anytime you need me to retweet something, just give me a shout. Tell everybody how to read you and watch you and everything that you do.
Yeah, just you can follow me on Twitter at Adam Zagori, and I hope everybody has a happy holidays, and you too, Alan.
Thanks. Back at you, dude. Happy holidays. Thanks. Adam Zagori, I've been reading him for years, does a really, really good job. And he's become close to Rick Pitino, which makes perfect sense, the way Rick does things, the way Zach does things. And Jimmy's putting Jonathan Davis in the hopper. Is that correct?
Yeah, I didn't know if you want to take a break first or just go right.
All right, let's take a quick break. Jonathan Davis coming up next. Alan Cutler, 1300 AM, 92.5 FM.
No Filter Radio with Alan Cutler, brought to you by Quantrell Auto Group. QuantrellForLife.com.
Hi, this is Alan Cutler. Have a no filter comment? Hit the text line, 859-381-1313. 859-381-1313. Hi, this is Alan Cutler. This holiday season, give the gift of adventure with Quantrell Subaru. Right now, the 2025 Subaru Share the Love event. Subaru will donate $250 to one of 5 amazing nonprofits, including the Hope Center. And Quantrell Subaru is stepping up in a big way, more than doubling that, donating a total of $550 for every new Subaru purchased, at least now through January 2nd. Be part of the community and help make a difference through the 2025 Share the Love event at Quantrell Subaru. Learn more at QuantrellSubaru.com.
I'm Kathy Binkaman. Over the holiday, there was an attempted fraud attack. My personal banker, Mary Rose, and I networked together, and the first thing that I thought of was I have to text her. And it was just within the next few minutes, there was an entire team that came together collectively. And that's just not the type of service that you typically get from your bank.
That's Kathy's story. Now let's get to work on yours. Republic Bank. Time to thrive. Member FDIC.
Ho, ho, ho.
What are you doing, Uncle Rick?
Looking at these twinkle lots, 250 strands of lots, 100 individual bulbs per strand, for a grand total of 25,000 twinkle lots.
Well, it looks like you're not quite ready for the holidays yet. But here at Clark's Pep & Shop, we are. We have 5-hour energy shots, buy 2, get 1 free, and Mike and Ike or Hot Tamales theater box candy, 2 for $2.
Maybe I should wrap up my lots so I can get over to Clark's Pep & Shop.
Uncle Rick, the little lights aren't blinking.
I know, Carlo. I know.
Happy holidays from the Clark family.
Back to No Filter Radio with Alan Cutler. Podcasts on Apple, Spotify, and Google, Monday through Friday.
Welcome back. Hey, don't forget about my friend Ramon Carriega, Blue Lotus Health Acupuncture. Does a spectacular job, now also providing a licensed massage therapist on Versailles Road. Please use my name. And he's an amazing man and a healer. And all the different things he can do to improve you, it's off the charts. But, if you have a problem, it's not like you're going to walk in and all of a sudden, boom, the problem is gone. Somebody asked me, well, how many times do I need to go there before it's fixed? First of all, I'm not a doctor, don't know your problem. But I even said to the person, do you think you're going to go one time and you have an issue with this, that, or that, it's going to, boom, magically disappear? Maybe, but I doubt it seriously. It's like anything else. Didn't take you a day to get the problem, and it's not going to be fixed in a day. It's a pretty simple deal, but it is wonderful. Oh, he must be doing serious money business, because look how he's dressed up now.
Come on, man.
Come on, you got your jacket on. You don't usually have a jacket on when you're doing my show.
I've got a day job, Alan. This is not my full-time profession, talking radio with you.
This is my day job. Can you see how I got dressed up?
Right.
with a very nice pink shirt So you must be having, and with a nice background, little horses
Yes.
there. So you must have some business meeting. Hey, look, thanks for coming on. It's all good about switching.
Good to see you.
That was good if you couldn't do it, if you had something else going on.
No, it just ran a little bit long, but we're good. Yeah.
It's all good. So tell everybody what you're doing. So to give a plug if somebody wants to give you a call.
Yeah, so I'm an investment advisor, and I mostly manage retirement accounts and help folks to save for their future.
And you have been doing this for how many decades?
33 years, 3 decades. Yeah. If you got some serious money that you want to hang on to or grow or leave to your kids, you're not really sure how to go about doing it, give me a call.
I trust you, and people should give you a call. Okay,
Thank you very much.
it's true. I'm going to guess, because one game doesn't do it for me, that the energy we saw against Indiana, and the example I was using, suppose they lose to Patino tomorrow, 69-66, but they play hard. Well, I want them to win, but as long as you play hard, and look, anybody can have a bad night, but they've had a lot of bad nights. And as long as they start playing really hard, they will make the NCAA tournament. And I said this before, NC Central had no idea. Well, NC Central is like, if you can't beat that, you might as well just shut your program off, with all due respect. But I said if they win the next 3 games, that would be NC Central, Indiana, and Patino, that they'd be back in the top 25. I think whoever wins this game tomorrow will be in, and the team that loses will be out, because Patino's number 22, and there's a lot of losses this year, and I think that's a trend that'll continue. Because of the parity, a lot of teams are beating a lot of teams, and I think the 4 losses this year wouldn't be as bad, let's say, as 15, 18 years ago. Because I'm going to be fascinated to see, somebody's going to write a story when the season is over about how many losses in the top 20 for the top 20 teams versus 20 years ago. I bet there's a big difference. That's just,
for sure.
That's my guess. So I think they'll be in. So anyway, what do you see? Do you think this work ethic for one game is an aberration? You think it's a trend? And look, you never know about Lowe. You hope he can do at least as much that he's been doing and more. But, with Mo Diabate back, I'm going to hit the mic in a second so you can talk more. I think he's the most important guy on the team. I think he changed the whole team. I think his energy changed the whole team. Lowe said he played harder because of it. He's a big, strong man, and I would hate to be the guy who wasn't hustling if he got in your face.
I am a big Diabate fan. I mean, there was one particular play that I think kind of encapsulated, that game, and that is the play where he went in the middle. He was 1-on-5. He came down with the ball. There were 5 of them and 1 of him, and he got the ball. That was huge. It was absolutely huge. And I think it set a tone, for how we're going to fight and how we're going to claw to stay in the game. We didn't shoot the ball particularly well. As a matter of fact, shot the ball horrible. But when you play hard and play with some semblance of team cohesiveness, you always have a chance. I loved your take earlier where you said they lost 69-66 and fought hard against Patino. It wouldn't crush anybody's spirit. It wouldn't give us a sense of doom. That's the worst case scenario. But I really think, Alan, we can go into this game tomorrow and win. I mean, I feel very confident right now that we play hard and make a few shots. I mean, don't shoot, 2 for 18 from 3, but if we're 5 for 18 from 3, which is decent, that would give us a chance to beat Patino and to come back with a victory. And that's very well possible. I'm saying UK by 3. I give us a 3-point edge.
You think Pope?
I'll take that. I'll take that bet.
I'm sorry for stepping on you, Jonathan. Do you think Pope has a thing in his head because Rick was his mentor, and he's going against the big kahunas and that kind of thing, and that sometimes is a bit of an issue. And
how can it not be? I mean, it's like, every man has what I call a father complex, in the sense that if your father was always a bigger than life character, if he was in your life, and you always thought, if I do this thing, can I one day outdo my dad? Can I do it better than my dad? And sometimes we get so wrapped up in that we become tight and we don't do our best because we're so focused on beating dad that we don't focus on the task at hand. Playing one-on-one with your son or something like that, or trying to beat dad's old records. If you can keep your mind away from that, talking about Mark, keeps his mind away from that, just focuses on the game at hand, he'll be fine. But if he focuses on trying to beat Patino and trying to chase a ghost, so to speak, you can't chase ghosts, man. You can't do that. You can't chase legacies and spirits, because those kind of things are always going to have so much weight that you can't overcome that. But if we focus on this team and focus on the mission at hand, we can win by 3 tomorrow.
So you're not concerned that Pope is chasing his father?
Oh, absolutely, I'm concerned. Look at our record right now, and look at his face, look at his body language, throwing out last game, but leading up to this season, even most of last year, there were some aspects of what he was trying to do was chasing a ghost, was trying to get us back to who we were under Patino, and there's something to be said for that. I mean, there was a lot of success there. I played there, he played there. I mean, you were there. I mean, so getting back to that is not the worst thing in the world. I mean, I think on some level, everybody wants to always go back to Camelot. It's that time where everything was great and magical and everything you did, seemingly in hindsight anyway, it all worked out. But Camelot's gone. Camelot's in the past. He has to figure out how to build his new Camelot. He has to figure out how do we speak with reverence with his name 10 years from now. What does he need to do to make himself a Patino-like or a figure, who galvanizes, whose name galvanizes, and whose name, precedes him before he walks into a room. Because right now, he has to find his identity. He doesn't have it yet. He's trying to figure it out. And we're going to give him enough time to figure it out. But he needs to, figure out, who am I going to be? I can't be a little Patino. I can't be, somebody else. Who am I going to be is his charge right now.
Do you have any concern as time goes on? To me, it's becoming a bigger and bigger issue. It's funny, when he got hired, I said the one thing that concerned me was he had never recruited, the elite of the elite. And then I honestly backed off, which I wish I didn't. And getting Marino and Jasper is great, but they are Kentucky boys. Now,
That's right.
If both of those guys were from California, I wouldn't say this now. And as good a freshmen as they are, and they're wonderful freshmen, there's an unbelievable amount of great freshmen that are on a different level. These two guys. That doesn't mean that these two guys won't be in the NBA sometime. I just think they need more time than some of the other guys need here or there. But I have to believe, if you're human, you have to feel pressure that he still has not gotten a yes from a couple of guys who you're saying, hey, there's a lotto pick. He hasn't gotten that yet. And as time goes on, it's going to get worse. And I think pressure will increase exponentially. And until he does it, he hasn't done it. And until he does it, this question will not go away.
I agree with everything you said. As a matter of fact, we've had this conversation offline more than once. Right when Mark was getting hired, he struggled, getting big name players. One thing that he could do that he's not done, I'm not criticizing, I'm just pointing out. One thing he could do is he could have gone out and gotten himself a high-ranking, or I should say, a former UK basketball player, who was a big star here, who happened to be of African-American descent. And here's the reason why. Some things about himself he cannot change. He is someone who's super great guy, but he goes into certain environments, he's going to struggle translating, to someone what he needs them to do for him at Kentucky. And I'm not sure that, well, let me phrase them. It's not that I'm not sure. We can see that he's going to struggle with that because it's shown itself in his last two recruiting classes that he hasn't been able to attract a certain kind of kid. Without putting too fine of a point on that, he needs a Sean Woods. He needs a Derek Anderson. He needs somebody like that who can translate this message just straight up better than him, because he doesn't have the street savvy like maybe a Patino or the gravitas of someone like a Self at Kansas. People don't look at him and say, I want to play for Mark Pope. Nobody's saying that yet. Again, I'm not being mean. I'm stating the obvious. So in lieu of that, he needs someone with a big blue ring that looks like the kind of player that he wants to get, that might have a bit more success than he could get directly. He still gets all the glory. It's still him. But I think he's been reluctant for, a myriad of reasons for bringing somebody in like that might have a big personality, that might have an outsized personality or an outsized influence on the team. That's also a concern that obviously he would have if he was being honest with himself, but he hasn't done it. I mean, it leads me to believe that might be part of the reason why he hasn't done it. But having said all that, he might want to think about doing it.
So in today's world, I call that culture.
Yeah, whatever you want to call it. There's a cultural language that I'm not sure that he is very versed in. Like I said, good dude. Anybody who's gotten to know him has nothing but positive feelings about him. But it would be like if you took someone that only spoke French and you told them to go to, I don't know, China and negotiate. We don't really speak Chinese. You don't really know the Chinese culture, the language. Maybe you had a Chinese meal, but it's not the same as being immersed in the culture or having a high understanding of the culture. There's just some things that are not even things you can tell somebody. They have to be understood. They have to be felt. to really be able to understand how that person thinks and what that person needs to hear from you or feel from you more specifically to make them want to make that decision. And our recruiting results bear out, what I'm saying. And having some African American staff right now, obviously it's a good thing, but those guys don't know Kentucky. They're not Kentucky guys. I'm just telling you. If we're trying to get back to the thing we're trying to get back to, we got to have the people that did the thing doing the thing. And that's an issue.
So you believe somebody like Sean Woods or Derek Anderson should be added to the staff, African Americans who love this place, who can speak on the greatness of Kentucky versus bringing in some people from different parts of the country?
100% yes.
Do you think he understands that?
I think he does, but again, there's a risk there for him. These guys, both the guys we happen to mention, they both have big personalities, and there's a chance where that assistant coach's voice could become stronger than his voice. That's a legitimate concern. As a coach, you want to be the final authority on your team. I get that. You want to have people that follow you. And I'm not saying these guys can't be good followers. I'm just saying that the kind of leaders that people will follow them. They've proven that people will follow them. Kids will follow them. Specifically, kids from the hood will follow them.
Do you have any fear? Because I know you like Mark, and I know you want to exceed. And I know
100% yes.
And I know you believe, because I think this needs to be said, that he brings a ton of stuff to the table. But a staff is a staff. Just like, Skinner, the volleyball coach, when they were awful in that first game, he gave his assistant coaches a lot of credit for helping turn it around. You need a staff. Excuse me, it was coffee. I'm battling a throat here. I don't know if he knows what you're saying, and I don't know if it's been advised to him, and I don't know if he gets it. I have no idea.
I've not spoken to him about it personally, so I can't say that, for a fact. I want to believe that he at least has crossed this off his list of things he doesn't want to do right now. I want to believe that. Like I said, Mark's a very cerebral guy, a guy who thinks about all possible outcomes. He does Monte Carlo simulations. And models things. If I did this, if I did A, then B might happen. If I did C, then D might happen. I have to think that he's at least thought about it. And he's decided that's not what he wants to do right now. My thought always was year 3, year 4, once he's established himself, and once his assistant coaches start taking other opportunities, I always thought he might bring in, one of our guys to fill that spot. But the way we're going right now, he might not be able to last till year 4 without doing that. And it might usurp some of his power if you brought in a guy who was very strong as a number 2 or number 3 assistant in charge of recruiting.
So you think he might fail if he doesn't bring in somebody who's an African-American who loves Kentucky, played at Kentucky, and understand it to be a heavy hitter in recruiting, like you suggested, Sean Woods and or Derek Anderson. You believe...
Or somebody like, there are other guys, I mean, just mention those 2 guys, but there are other guys that could probably fill that role. But those 2 kind of jump out in my mind as guys who could fill that role that would make me comfortable.
Do you think a lot of former players think like you? Because I think a lot do, but they're afraid to say it.
I'm just going to tell you this. We talk amongst ourselves. I'll leave it at that. The stuff you hear on the radio is about a third of it, what we actually talk about. We talk amongst ourselves.
See, if it was me, and I'm Mark Pope, and I say this with kindness, I would want to sit down with you privately and some other former players and say, okay, you played here too. What's your perspective? Those kinds of things. I don't know this. I don't think he sees anything at all about what you're saying, because I'm not going to speak out of turn here. If he offered Sean Woods a job, Sean Woods would be there, not at Scott County. That's not a shot against Scott County, I promise you. And although Kentucky's defense has gotten better, give him credit for that, and who's ever doing it on the staff, but Sean's a hell of a defensive coach. And so I know there were some former players whose names I also won't say on the air because they asked me not to, and that's just the way it is, who were upset that there's no former Kentucky player on the staff. And by the way, white and black, just to be brutally honest,
sure.
White and black. This is not a racial thing. This is a thing. I love Kentucky. Why haven't you hired one of our guys? And I get it's Pope's staff. He should do whatever the hell he wants. Because he should absolutely do what he wants. By the same token, too, it's interesting how many really super qualified former players there are who could have helped Mark Pope. And that was the thing. Actually, you could probably come through two staffs. I'm serious now, and I'm not just saying because they're Kentucky, but guys who work hard and know what the hell they're doing and would be a great benefit. And I know there were a bunch of guys that were hurt and ticked off that they weren't asked to come on. And I know there were guys, you do too, as you're nodding your head, who really tried hard and thought they got nowhere about
Which is why I think he knows. Like I said, there are guys that have approached him or that have had people in their camp approach him for an opportunity, and they were rebuffed. And like I said, I'm defending Mark because I get him wanting to put his stamp on the program, but he might not get a chance to put his stamp on the program if he tries to do it alone. Because right now, he's the only Kentucky guy that's there right now. These other guys are just trying to figure it out.
Interesting. I'm not worried about them making the NCAA tournament.
I'm not either.
Yeah, okay.
But that's not our goal. Here's the thing, though, Alan.
Yeah.
That's not our goal. Our
Amen.
goal is to win championships. We're not on track for that right now. And there is great concern, and again, not going to let up. I mean, in the what he signed up for was to be in a pressure cooker, to be in a situation where the mission is to win, and anything else is a failure. And we got to chalk it up as that. So that's where we are right now. It's DEFCON 3. He has to win, or at least be there a basket away against Patino. And we fought hard, and we just went down because it was a bad game. You're going to lose. You're not going to win every single game. You're going to lose some games. But it's got to be a dogfight or a win. And me personally, I'm looking for a win. I mean, again, Mark knows this. We don't do the second choice. I mean, we're all in kind of people. Kentucky basketball is about winning. It's not about being close. This isn't Tennessee. This isn't some other school that, and I mean, not with disrespect to them, but this is not a situation where it's horseshoes. We're used to winning. I mean, used to winning big. We used to expect to win. We used to be shocked when we lose, even against a superior opponent, because we are Kentucky. And we're not going to cut corners. We're not going to give you excuses. We're not going to give you a way out. Either you complete the mission or we find somebody else who will. That's just the way we do it here.
Wow, you got me fired up, except I can't run through a brick wall.
Coaches here, Alan, they don't leave on their own terms. Think about this. Even going back to, God bless him, Adolph Rupp. No one leaves Kentucky on their own terms. You want to be here, but at some point.
Patino did.
Okay, Patino did. But you know what? He couldn't come back. He wanted to come back.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did.
He wanted to come back really bad. I mean,
Yes.
like he'd have paid to come back, and the answer was no. So again, even him, he didn't get to leave Kentucky on his own terms. He wanted to come back and coach, and they said no.
Do I believe he wanted to be the coach here instead of Mark Pope?
He'll come back. He'll
Yes.
come back now.
Yes.
He'll never say it out loud. He hopes if Mark Pope fails and we can't find anybody else, he hopes we call him. I said it on the radio.
He'll be 76.
I know. I'm not saying that they would, and I'm not saying he'd accept, but trust me, he loves Kentucky so much, he would come back tomorrow if he had the chance to. He does. He loves it here.
Well, there's no doubt in my mind that he would have loved to have been the Kentucky coach.
Absolutely.
On coaches, if anybody
Absolutely.
wants to agree with me, I don't care because I know some things.
Yep.
Don't care, by the way.
Yep.
If I don't talk to you between now and Christmas, God bless you. Appreciate your friendship. Merry Christmas. And I have a wish for you in the New Year's. You know what that is?
Yes. No.
You need to get over your shyness.
I think I did. Oh, Al, I got a funny story to tell you about that.
Go
I
ahead.
had a meeting with a friend from college, somebody that knew me as a college kid, and we haven't really spoken very much in the last 30 plus years. And he said that he was reluctant to take the meeting with me because he remembers me being so shy. He's like, "What are we going to talk about?" He had no idea what I'd grown into over the last 30 years. And he was pleasantly surprised about our conversation.
Oh, I'm 2 minutes over the show. I don't mean to cut you off, but it's 154, not 152. Bless you. Merry Christmas. Appreciate
Merry Christmas, Alan. Happy holidays.
And you can push those shyness pills away. Happy holidays. Jonathan Davis. Bless you, brother. See
Yes,
you.
sir.
What a fun show. Have a great weekend. Hopefully I can talk on Monday. Monday will be my last show of the year. So hopefully my voice after Monday will be back strong for January 2nd. Jimmy, as always, I appreciate you. Have yourself a lovely day. Thank you for listening. Alan Cutler, 1300 AM, Brad Taylor.